Alexander County Board of Commissioners into session. At this time, I would ask that you all please rise. Commissioner Berkey Jennings will lead us in the invocation, and Commissioner Judy Moose will lead us in the pledge.
Bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you for the knowing of each of us by name. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. Come fill our lives and all the residents of Alexander County with your love. Fill our conversations with your grace and truth. Fill this meeting with your presence. Please protect the peacekeepers in this county and soldiers in this nation and foreign lands. Please restore health to the sick and provide support to those in need. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does any commissioner have any kind of reports at this time that they'd like to offer?
I have one comment. I think there are probably a lot of animal lovers in the room. There are probably a lot of animal lovers listening on the radio. And I would remind everyone the below freezing temperatures we're having tonight and especially tomorrow night. And if those pets are able to be brought into warmer shelter, please do so, because we need to be kind and protective of our furry friends.
Anyone else? At this time, gentlemen, you have your agendas before you. May I entertain a motion at this time to approve the agenda as is?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
And I second it.
Well, the motion's been made and seconded. Is any discussion at all? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Just for information, Commissioner Mayberry called. He is going to try to make it. He's been held up at a meeting. And as all of you know, Commissioner Darrell Robertson resigned last month and has taken the job as the county engineer. The Republican Party will be naming a replacement for him tomorrow night. So we should know who that replacement will be around, I think they should know something around 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And that person will be with us at the next meeting. The first item on the agenda is public comment. We've had two folks that have signed up for comments, and they are Kathy Riddle for the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County about a meeting announcement, and Laura Cranford about animal control. And I'll remind those folks that the public comment period is limited to allow the Board of Commissioners an opportunity to listen to citizens' comments and concerns. It is not a time for the board to discuss issues or answer impromptu questions. A time period of 15 minutes has been established for public comment at the beginning of each regular session, at the beginning of the first regular meeting of each month. Length of comment for each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Please select one spokesman to represent a group of citizens with the same concerns. Citizens are to be directed to comments are to be directed to the board as a whole and not to individual members. Citizens will be expected to be civil and courteous in their language and limit comments to issues of public concern. Topics requiring further investigation will be referred to the appropriate county officials or staff and may be scheduled for future agenda. Any citizen wishing to address the board during public comment shall call the clerk to the board prior to the meeting and have their name placed on this list. And I'd respectfully ask that you adhere to these rules that we have. And our first speaker will be Kathy Riddle for the Citizens for the Future of Alexander County.
Thank you and good evening. The Citizens for the Future of Alexander County will conduct our third public forum on Thursday, January 16th at 7 p.m. right here in this room on the campus of CVCC. R.G. Absher with the Yadkin River Greenway Council will talk about greenways and will present an overview of the economic benefits and tourism opportunities that are directly related to developing greenway projects. This presentation is free to the public and will include photographs and information related to successful greenway projects in surrounding counties. The public is invited and will have opportunities for questions and answers by Mr. Absher. For research and additional information regarding greenway projects, go to yadkinrivergreenway.com. In September, we held our first public forum, and it drew over 70 Alexander County residents who came together to brainstorm ideas and needs for countywide improvement based on the 4 initiatives identified by CVCC. And those are developing retirement opportunities, revitalizing the local economy, developing travel and tourism, and creating a cultural arts environment. Then again, in October, we had a second meeting, which was a follow-up forum and allowed citizens to prioritize those ideas. CVCC's future plans, including more special presentations like the one on the greenways, and will be presented over the next several months. We plan on presenting a variety of public meetings on several topics of interest given by qualified individuals. We want to involve all interested community members, and we want to keep them informed about the potential opportunities that can be available in Alexander County. CVCC is a nonprofit organization whose objectives are to develop, encourage, and promote economic growth and general business throughout Alexander County. Thank you.
Laura Cranford.
As some of you may know, I fostered and adopted my first pup from the shelter. I did not have a fun, relaxing experience at this shelter. I was told that my little dog at first sight had Demodex mange. Well, if he had Demodex mange, I wasn't sure I wanted to invest all this money, so I left him. I live exactly 4 miles out of the city limits. I turned around, went back and got him. I'd fostered him for a month. To my surprise, he was gone. 5.5 hours later, he was returned. If he was that sick, why was he hastily taken from that shelter? Well, I have now adopted him, and I'm treating him for Demodex mange. I have a few questions. Where does the county's animal shelter supervisor live? It's my understanding it's not Alexander County. How many minutes would it take them to respond to an emergency if that individual is on call? Was the animal control supervisor job position ever posted to the public? If not, why? Why would the county not want to fill positions with Alexander County residents when possible? Does your animal control supervisor get travel expense? If so, per Alexander County policy, those items are not reimbursable when it's to and from the workplace. It's my understanding that some of the employees are not required to assist with cleaning duties. This puts undue burden on the remaining shelter staff to handle all cleaning responsibilities all the time, even on the holidays. Should this position not be shared duties as animal shelter employees? Can you confirm that the animal control is up to date on all required paperwork and documentation? Are volunteers given keys to access the shelter? If so, why? Why would a volunteer be given a key when they're not an employee of the county? Since a volunteer has access to the shelter, does he or she not have access to any money and vaccinations kept on site? Are some volunteers allowed to use profanity? If so, is this how we want to advertise, promote, and educate the public on adoption, spay, and neuter? It's my understanding that in December, approximately 18 dogs were euthanized in one day to make room for feral cats. Why would healthy dogs be euthanized if the shelter is not overcrowded? Why would we house a feral cat when it's all but impossible to tame an adult feral cat that has never been socialized or had any human contact? Does this not put workers, volunteers, and the public at risk? It's my understanding that some of the cats were being housed in the dog holding area. Why? Would you put your hand in a small cage that's never been in a small cage with a cat that's never been in human contact? I certainly wouldn't think so. So why would you expect employees or volunteers to do so? Does this mean the cages went without cleaning? It's my understanding that on December 19th, an adult feral cat was placed in the cat condos inside the cat holding room and remained there until Monday, December 30th, until a vet euthanized it along with a number of dogs. Why was this cat housed for so long? Were these animals assessed by a veterinarian or just instructed by the supervisor to euthanize without just cause? Is it not the duties of the shelter to house dogs and cats that exhibit good temperament and personality for possible adoption? Why are feral cats being housed? It's my understanding that Catawba County Humane Society offered to send volunteers to assist county shelter with work duties, but this was never addressed. It's my understanding that a couple went to the shelter to see about adopting and were turned away due to the wife's shoes. They were told that she would have to sit in the car, but her husband could come in and look. Dogs were never offered to be brought out for them to look at. Was it appropriate to ask a person to sit in a vehicle? A sign needs to be placed to the public so they're aware of the dress code, such as no open-toe shoes. Had a sign been in place, this couple would not have had the feelings they had when they left. It's my understanding that a county resident's dog was picked up on his property for no reason, but was returned when the owner came to the shelter to claim his dog. It's my understanding that a donor donated several $100s last Friday and several items of supplies, but the supervisor didn't so much as give a mere thank you. We have a tobacco use prohibited on county property and in vehicles. It shall be unlawful for any person to smoke or use any type of tobacco or tobacco-like product on all county property and county-owned parks. In
Mr.
any
Grant,
building
Mr.
facility.
Grant, I
Yes.
appreciate what you're saying and everything. That's been about 5 minutes.
Okay,
Okay, if you can wrap it up, please.
I can.
All right.
The smoking may need to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 2 on our agenda is public hearing rezoning case 14-2, Unity Christian Church, South Harris County Planner. I will remind everyone that this is a public hearing. This hearing will be in session at this time. Anyone that's here to speak for or against this item will have the opportunity to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is rezoning case 14-2 for Unity Christian Church. The current zoning district is HC Highway Commercial, and the proposed zoning district is RA20 Residential Agricultural. The current land use is a church. The proposed use is this current church plus a private school. It's located at 7860 Highway 90 East near Stony Point, consisting of 4 acres. Land uses within 100 feet include to the north commercial property, to the south residential property, to the east residential property, and to the west vacant property. Zoning districts within 100 feet include to the north highway commercial, light industrial, to the south RA20, to the east RA20, and to the west RA20. Go to the next slide. That'll show the zoning classifications there, give you an idea of the surrounding properties. Tax office records indicate the current building was constructed in 1971. The building was owned by Jones Fish Camp until 2009 when it was sold to the current owner. Let's discuss sections of the zoning ordinance. Section 154.170 describes a highway commercial district as those locations provide suitable locations for those commercial activities which serve primarily the traveling public. The RA20 district is established where the principal use of the land is for low-density residential and agricultural purposes. The 2008 comprehensive plan does show this proposed future use of this area as being industrial. It shows a wide swath of Highway 90 East from outside of the Taylorsville limits two Stony Points being industrial, just for reference. The 2012 average daily traffic count for the section of Lynch Road, which is to the north of the property, was 1,000 trips per day, and a nearby section of Highway 90 logged 3,300 trips per day. Per our usual practice, letters were sent by first-class mail to the property owners within 100 feet of the parcel, and a sign was posted on the property. An ad was also placed in the Taylorsville Times. We did receive a few phone calls, mainly regarding information about the rezoning. People were curious about the church and what was going on, maybe concerned a little bit. Just for clarity, a church is an allowed use in highway commercial, but a school is not. So therefore, to allow for the school, it has to be rezoned to residential.
But you received no negative feedback?
No negative feedback, just information, asking for information. Staff does recommend approval of the request due to the following: similar adjacent zoning districts, and the property lies within a transitional zoning area between current commercial, industrial, and residential zoning districts, which I think is shown pretty well on the zoning map in front of you there. The Archer and Archer property to the north, that's industrial, is Lake Norman Propane, which we rezoned a few years back. The Starnes property is a hair cutting type place. And pretty much everything else is residential in nature or vacant agricultural property. The Planning and Zoning Commission did hear this on January 2nd, last Thursday, and they did recommend approval based on similar adjacent zoning districts and provide that transitional zoning between those different zoning classifications. We can go on to look at some pictures now. This shows the subject property, and you can kind of see from that map all the vacant property around it. There's also several homes and residences, and of course those businesses I mentioned before. Next slide. This is looking to the west on Highway 90. Really good picture of the tree, and you can see the gas tank in the background there, the Lake Norman Propane.
That is a famous tree.
Is it? If you go to the next slide. It's kind of looking back towards the church. It's kind of washed out by the sun, but that kind of shows how much parking space they have and that sort of thing. Next one. That's showing the sign, and again, looking back west on Highway 90, you can see the businesses behind the tree there. I think that's it.
So can I ask you a question too about school?
Sure.
What grade levels?
I believe it is K through 12. The applicants are here tonight and maybe could answer that better. It's Alexander Christian Academy wanting to open a second branch at this location.
Just for informational purposes, can anybody here answer that? Do you mind coming up?
Hi, good evening. It would currently be K-6, like our other Bethlehem location.
Okay, I thought
We
your
would
face looked
eventually go
familiar.
K-12, but
Okay.
we are currently K-6, we are pre-K through sixth grade at Bethlehem, and we would at least go through sixth grade now so that those kids would go up together, and we'll grow as they go. We'll grow as they go, so we would go,
So as they get to sixth grade, you'll add seventh, eighth?
Yes,
and
sir.
all the way up through 12?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is there going to be a new building, or are you going
No,
to use
ma'am.
the existing building?
We would just be operating out of their facility. We'd just be
Okay.
using the building. Be happy to answer any other
That's all I
questions.
have.
Okay. Thank you.
Seth, anything else?
That's all I had unless you have any more questions.
Is there anyone in the public, in the audience that has any questions or comments concerning this rezoning issue? Any other questions from any commissioners?
No.
There being none, all those, this time I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion, we close the public hearing.
And I second it.
Okay, the motion's been made and second. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise. At this time, I'd entertain a motion concerning the rezoning issue.
I'll make a motion, we approve the rezoning request.
And I second it.
I understand. I'll take care of it. On the motion, Commissioner Jennings, we need to make sure that you include in your motion, please, sir, that the approval is based on the fact that similar adjacent zoning districts are there and the property lies within a transitional zoning area between current commercial, industrial, and residential zoning districts. Do you mind amending your motion to that, please?
No, if I can find what you were quoting from, I'll be happy to do that. Yes. I would like to amend my motion. I would still like to approve it with the fact that it is recommended to be approved because of, number one, similar adjacent zoning districts, and number two, the property lies within transitional zoning area between current commercial, industrial, and residential zoning districts.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll entertain a second.
I second that motion.
The motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor of the motion indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Item number 3 on the agenda, award bids for Bethlehem Ellendale Water System Improvement Projects. Mr. Doug Chapman, Senior Project Manager from McGill Associates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We've been working on this project for several years and excited to receive bids. There's a total of 3 bids were received on November 21st, and the low base bid amount was from Buckeye Construction Company of Canton in the amount of $2,896,924.74. This project is being funded by a zero-interest loan from North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources from the Public Water Supply section. We have reviewed all of their bid requirements and information, and we've gotten award authorization from Public Water Supply section to award the project. Buckeye is appropriately licensed, and they have performed similar projects in the past. Just a general overview of the project. The project includes updating or upgrading of the Bethlehem pump station and installation of a new water tank in Ellendale at the location of the existing tank, and that will pump water from Bethlehem all the way to Ellendale. So that the Ellendale tank will provide pressure all to the Bethlehem system in between. The project will also include water lines along the remaining east end of Devil Track Road and along Blankenship Road from where the line ends now, just south of 127, all the way to Teaguetown Road, and a short connection from there on Teaguetown over to Bowman Cutover where the water line ends now in that area. I've provided a recommendation and a tabulation of all the bids that were received, the unit prices. The contract we have recommended to be awarded for the base bid only, not including any of the alternates. And the project should be ready to go to construction by the time we do contracts and everything sometime in February or early March.
Very good. And that'll really bring our pressure up in the Ellendale community. Is that not correct?
It will change the pressures. I can show you on this map. Probably this. Right now, water is pumped from Bethlehem to the West Middle tank, right in here at West Middle School. And then there's another pump station at Antioch that pumps it to Ellendale. What will happen now is it'll pump from Bethlehem all the way to Ellendale. So everything from Antioch back to the Bethlehem pump station will have higher pressure. Everything in that area right there. And it will provide improved pressure in the Sam Hefner area where there's a hydropneumatic tank now.
Right.
Pump station.
Well, this has been a project we've been working on for quite a while.
Yes.
Taking a long time. Taking a long
Yes, it
time.
has.
And it's going to make a big difference in the Bethlehem and the Ellendale community. And it's really good to see that water line starting to come on because we really need to finish out the Teaguetown Road on into Church Road. And that'll make we can ever get there to do that, you know, so that'd be outstanding and make a big difference in that community. Does any commissioners have any questions?
No, just a question that I'd like to ask. When you're talking about the extra water tank, we're not going to have to acquire any additional, county's not going to have to acquire any additional property. That other tank is going to go where the current tank is at the Ellendale convenience site. Is that not correct?
Yes, it'll go right beside the other tank.
Okay.
If you go the driveway going up to the convenience site, if you went straight on up, it'll be between there and the existing tank.
Okay.
And the existing tank will stay in service.
Oh, that's right. Where is this thing? Okay. Any other questions? We're looking forward to this. Ladies, gentlemen, and ladies, I'd entertain a motion at this time to approve the bid.
I make a motion that we approve the bid for the expansion of the Bethlehem Ellendale Water Project.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Motion's made and second. To add a little bit to this and a little discussion here on this, after the motion's been made and second, Mr. French, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this funding for this is no interest on that we have will not be will not be paid by, with tax dollars, this will be coming out of our water money. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's
It's
correct.
no cost to the taxpayers whatsoever.
That's correct.
This is just another way that we continue to reinvest the money that we make off the water, that we reinvest it back into the county to continue to add more and more water lines. And we've been doing this now for, I know we've been doing it the last 10 years.
That's correct.
And we continue to try to do that to bring water to more and more of our citizens. We still like a lot of areas that we still don't have water to, but we continue to work on it, and we'll continue to try to make improvements to our water system as quickly and as fast as we can. And it's a very expensive project. Anytime you put water lines or sewer lines in it, it's a tremendous amount of expense. The motion's been made, any other discussion? The motion's been made and second. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you very much, and appreciate you being here tonight, and we look forward to getting this project on the road and getting it done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4 on the agenda, recognition of Sugarloaf Fire Department and Vashti Fire Department for the new ISO ratings. Russell Green, Emergency Services Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. It's always a privilege to get to stand here and brag on our volunteers in the county. Tonight, I'm particularly proud of the Vashti Fire Department and the Sugarloaf Fire Department. I have with me Chief Stephen Carson of the Vashti Fire Department, and wanted to come before you tonight and let the citizens of those two communities know that these gentlemen have, and ladies from the fire departments, have done an excellent job. On August the 26th, that week, an ISO ratings officer from Raleigh was here, and we did an ISO review. ISO is Insurance Service Offices. All of our fire departments are rated, and that rating becomes particularly important to the homeowner because their rating of the fire department determines the amount of homeowners' premiums they pay for their homeowners' insurance. Vashti had never gone through the rating process, excuse me, and on the 26th, the inspector showed up. We went out, and I think the chief would tell you we kind of run him through the mill. They look at a little bit of everything. They look at their paperwork, they look at their water system, and they look at communications. The grade comes from 50% fire department, 40% water system, and 10% our communication system. Vashti was previously a Class 9 fire department, which means homeowners were paying the upper end of homeowners' premiums. They scored a solid 36% in this review, and that brought them to a Class 7 fire department. And just in general information, I talked to a local insurance gentleman the other day, and every insurance company is a little bit different, but they've got a base rate. And on a $100,000 house, moving from a Class 9 to a Class 7 will save that homeowner about $100 a year in insurance premiums. So I'd give the chief here an opportunity to speak, but I can tell you my hat's off to the folks at Vashti. They did a great job.
I have to say, this definitely was a learning experience. We'd been after this for about 4 years, waiting for the water project out there to be finished up. And as soon as it does, we got in line to get the inspection done, and it went real well. I'm really proud of the guys out there, and Proud to be chief of the community.
Thank you, Chief. Commissioners, that was Vashti, and I'll tell you, it was busy in August and September, because on September the 9th, we don't have a representative here from Sugarloaf Fire Department, but on September the 9th, the same state inspector came back, and we did the same thing in the Sugarloaf Fire Department. Again, an excellent rating. They were formerly a Class 9 fire department. They scored a very solid 35.32, just a little bit lower than Vashti's, but the ratings are based on a 10-point scale, so a 30 to a 39.99 is a Class 7 fire department. So they are solid in the middle of that rating. It always concerns me if a fire department falls to just the very edge, just barely gets in a rating, or gets almost just barely misses a rating, because the next time they come around, you have that more possibility of losing that rating, and that's something we don't want to see happen. Once they accomplish this, we want to be able to keep that for the homeowners. So both of these departments scored very solid, center of the rating scale, great for their communities. Again, Sugarloaf scored a 35.32, which makes them a Class 7 fire department. Same rating system. Did a great job. My hat's off to those ladies and gentlemen at Sugarloaf. Both of these communities, these ratings will go in effect with their insurance companies on February the 1st. So this meeting tonight was very opportune. We get the word out to our citizens. So I'll tell all the folks that have homeowners premiums in the Sugarloaf and the Vashti communities, after February the 1st, that rating changes. So your premium should be coming down. Now, sometimes the insurance companies just let that roll till the next renewal. So if you just renewed, you're going to miss out. So I would encourage folks to call their insurance company after February the 1st and say, all right, let's talk about what the rate is, and make sure they get squared away there. While I'm standing here, let me tell you that all of our fire departments, these are the last two fire departments in the county to go through a rating review. So currently, the East Alexander Fire District Stony Point Fire Department is a Class 7 fire department. The Hiddenite Fire Department is a Class 7 fire department. The Central Alexander Taylorsville Fire Department currently is a Class 6 fire department. Ellendale Community is a Class 7 fire department. Wittenberg Community, at their last rating, dropped to a Class 6 fire department. And the Bethlehem Community is a split rating of a 6.9, and that's a 6 everywhere within 1,000 feet of a hydrant. Their rating is just slightly different, still an excellent rating for the community, but theirs is based strictly on hydrants, whereas the other fire departments have done theirs as a tanker and hydrant combination rating. So, and that's something that I know the Bethlehem community is looking at, and I fully anticipate within the next year and a half to 2 years, Bethlehem asking to be re-rated and do it in that fashion. Again, our guys did a great job. They're very hardworking. These were the last two fire departments to be rated under the old scale. There's a new rating scale that just went into effect. And when they come back, we'll be meeting the new rating scale. I've had a brief review of it. We have a class that folks in the county will be attending in February to see how the new rating is going to apply. There's some encouraging things in it. There's some questionable things in it. But until we get to go through it, we won't know exactly how it's going to hit us. And I'm not one of those people that like to be the guinea pig. I'm okay with them going to other parts of the state, going through it, working out the kinks, and then coming back here when they're comfortable in what they're doing. So we'll do that class in February, and our fire departments are due. Stony Point, Hiddenite, and Ellendale are due for ratings sometime in the next 2 years. So that'll be coming forth. Again, I just wanted to come before you tonight, let you know what these men and women of these two departments have done. It's been a great measure for them, and it was a great 2 weeks. Very detailed 3 days of flowing hydrants, checking equipment on trucks, and all those things, but they did a great job. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
I have one question. What is the impact on the folks up in Sugarloaf on their insurance rates? You said it was $100 savings for the folks up in Vashti. What about Sugarloaf?
Be the same thing, roughly, and that's based on base insurance rates. I was talking to one of our local insurance guys the other day. I actually ran into him in the doctor's office, and we had a conversation about insurance rates as we went through some therapy. But not mental therapy, probably need that too. But most insurance companies have a base rate, and based on a $100,000 house, a stick-built house, a Class 9 to drop into a Class 7 is roughly $100 a year in homeowner's premium savings. So that's, you look at every, $100,000 house in that community saves roughly $100. That's huge.
It's a savings.
That's big numbers.
The chief, oh, go ahead, excuse me. Go
Well,
ahead.
I had one other comment, if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to commend the two chiefs in Vashti, it'd be Chief Carson, and Sugarloaf, it'd be Chief Davis, and your respective volunteers for making this rating possible, because if it wasn't for you folks working hard primarily as volunteers, unpaid volunteers, it is a benefit, extreme benefit to the county and also to the residents that live in those communities. So I want to commend you for that.
They did a great job, sir.
And Chief Carson, that's what I was going to say, because I know you guys up there work hard, so does Sugarloaf. You guys work hard raising money. You have your 4th of July celebration and other things you also do. Sugarloaf has a lot of porta pit chicken, and you guys work really, really hard. And the thing that the people in their county and the county and in the communities need to understand, these are volunteers. You put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of work in order to make your community safe. And you do it because you care about your community. And I appreciate, and I know the commission board and the citizens of this county appreciate the effort that you all put forward, because I know that it takes a tremendous amount of time, having been a volunteer fireman myself. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort. And we want to tell you, thank you very much for the efforts you put forward to save the county and those citizens in that community some money on their insurance.
And thank you, and I want to encourage anybody that was interested in being a volunteer fireman to visit their local fire department. I know we're needing to take on a few more members, so if anybody's interested, we do meet on Monday nights at 7 p.m. So
Absolutely.
I'd encourage anybody to be interested.
Very good.
I have one other comment, Mr. Chairman, if you're
Go ahead, sir.
Mr. Green, I'd like to just commend you for the effort that I know that you put forth in making this happen too, because you kind of were the shepherd of the flock, so to speak, to make sure that the fire chiefs and their staffs and all the fire districts in the county are aware of all the rules and regulations and the impact of the reclassification. So I just want to commend you for your hard work too.
Commissioner, thank you very much for those comments. And let me do one other thing here with the chief while he's standing here. Last year, the chief took advantage of a free grant program through the Forest Service and the Department of Defense. And Vashti received a free pumper truck through the Department of Defense, through the North Carolina Forest Service, and they've got it running. It's in service. It's in service.
And there's another one supposed to be here in the next 2 weeks.
There we go. He's taking advantage of that program again. So these are good trucks. The Department of Defense program requires them to keep them for 18 months, and then they're free to do whatever they want to with them. But he's adding a truck to his fleet. Unfortunately, we didn't have that truck when we did this rating. That would have had an impact on the rating. I'm not going to tell you it would have changed it another grade, but it would have had a positive impact.
Positive impact.
Positive impact. So the chief at Vashti, Stephen here, did a great job with that, and talked with the Chief Davis from Sugarloaf today, and he just received a grant award from the Carpenter Company, Carpenter Foundation, and they're actually buying a piece of equipment for their station. So they've taken advantage of some grants out there, and that's saving their taxpayers some dollars. So again, my hat's off to these two departments for the job they do.
One other comment, if I may, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Green, the comment you just made about, and the chief too, about the pumper truck, knowing the rural nature of the Vashti Fire District, I think the chief could attest, and Russell, you could attest, to the importance of that pumper truck. There's not, I'll say it this way, not a lot of hydrants up there where other districts may have more hydrants. That pumper truck is a great asset to the community. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. It's, and the fact that he got it free. He had to put a little labor into it. They did a little work on it, but he's passed its service test. Truck's in service, so it's great.
Free's always good.
Free's always good.
It's always good.
That's an old fire service standard. If it's free, it's great. Good.
If you can get it free, get it. But seriously, we just appreciate all your efforts up there in Vashti and also in Sugarloaf, and Russell, we appreciate your efforts too.
Thank you very much.
Russell, since you're the Director of Emergency Services in Alexander County at this time, I'd like to ask you a very serious question. As you know, tonight, we're going to have temperatures falling down, and tomorrow morning, they're supposed to be about 1 degree, not counting the chill factor that's going to occur with the high winds.
Yes, sir.
Could you go in a little bit about what's going on? I know there are going to be 2 places that people in this county can go. I know that Reverend Phil
Addison.
he has opened up Stony Point Baptist Church, and the Sheriff's Department lobby is going to be open. Would you elaborate on those a little bit? Because if our citizens get cold or the power goes out, the one thing that we want to stress, and there's people listening on the radio, we want to stress if your power goes out or something happens, that's what 911 is for. If you will call those folks, they will tell you where to go or what to do, or they'll get in touch with the right people to get you to where you need to be so that you'll be taken care of. That's vitally important on a very cold night like this. So if you don't mind, Russell, if you'd elaborate just a little.
Absolutely. We've actually been monitoring that situation all day, and I can tell you just before I stood up and walked up here, I checked the temperature at the Board of Education, and it was 15 degrees. So it's dropped several degrees since you came in this meeting, and it's dropping rapidly.
And that's not including the wind chill factor.
That does not include the wind chill factor. That's the actual temperature. So it's going to be bitterly cold in the morning. I actually had conversations with Dr. Womble and Dr. Peel today, and they're trying to make a decision about schools in the morning, and my hat's off to those gentlemen because that's a tough decision to make. But I know that,
Made it.
did they?
3-hour delay.
3-hour delay. I hadn't heard, my phone was ringing standing here, that may have been it. But again, that's a tough decision to make. We have been monitoring the situation. Reverend Addison and I had a very lengthy conversation this morning, and their church made a decision to open Lindsay Hall at Stony Point Baptist Church from 8 p.m. tonight till 8 a.m. in the morning. We're not technically saying it's a Red Cross shelter. It is one of our designated shelter locations, but his church has decided to do that. His church family is staffing that tonight. We did provide them some equipment today. We are going to monitor that situation tonight. Reverend Addison has my phone number. I have his. If they become overwhelmed for some reason, we do have the ability, and we've got the folks kind of standing ready to open another shelter in the county if that needs to happen. In our emergency operations plan, shelter operations falls to our DSS department. And I had a conversation just before coming over here with our director, Cindy Holman. Cindy was taking the appropriate call-down list home with her, making her people aware, and we've made contacts. We've reached out to those shelters that we may have to open. You know, my hope is everybody gets to stay home, everybody stays warm, but very importantly, everyone stays warm. So if you lose power, you lose heat for whatever reason, pick up the phone. If it's non-emergency, you can dial the 632-2911 number, and those telecommunicators can, if they can't direct you exactly where to go, they can get a hold of the appropriate people. Our sheriff was on the radio this afternoon, and he has made the lobby of the detention facility available. His staff's aware of that. And to me, that gives us a great rallying point. If folks come into there, they're safe, they're warm, it gives us a chance to get a head count, determine whether or not we need to open another shelter. And as I said, we stand ready to do that. We'll open shelters as needed throughout the county. I've had conversations with State Emergency Management today, and at 8 o'clock tonight, I'll go on their website and I'll say that that shelter's open at the church. If I do it before then, it kind of gives a false sense. So we've worked through that. Some of the surrounding counties are doing very similar things for us. In my 15-year history here, on 2 occasions, I've opened shelters and staffed them for cold weather events. And on neither case did anybody show up at our shelter. So we've learned that we ask people to rally at our volunteer departments, to rally at the sheriff's office, to rally at the courthouse, and we can get a head count and know where we need to go. It may be that we have more people in the southwest corner of the county, and we don't need to open a shelter in Taylorsville. We need to open something over there. So that way we can get a head count. But we are constantly monitoring the situation. Staff's been advised as to what they need to do. And again, Ms. Holman at DSS, our Red Cross volunteers, they're there to back us up and there to help us. We actually house some Red Cross equipment in our office, and we were able to share some of that with Reverend Addison today. His staff looking very forward to this. I think it's something that they feel like is very needed for their community, and they know their local community better than anybody else can because they're there every day. So I applaud them for their efforts at Stony Point Baptist, and again, we will back them up. We'll stay apprised of that situation tonight, and if at any point in time someone needs something, do not hesitate to pick up the phone and dial either in an emergency 911, non-emergency 632-2911, and I know the sheriff's done that a couple times a day on the radio, and that's the information folks need to hear. If you have a concern, you're not comfortable, you're not safe in your house, call for help, because that's what we're here for. And we will make shelters available and do what needs to be done.
Russell, I have maybe some questions that you should answer as opposed to me giving a recommendation. But I personally know people that are aged, infirmed, live alone, have no close relatives close by. What is your advice and direction on making sure those people are checked on and have heat and are kept comfortable during this? Because it's not only going to be tonight, it's going to be tomorrow night too, which is going to be even colder.
Yes, sir. We're looking at probably the next 48 hours to get through this Arctic front they're talking about. First of all, to neighbors, if you have those kind of neighbors, those infirm folks, those medically special needs folks, please reach out and check on those folks tonight and make sure they've got appropriate heat in their house. If you do not think they've got appropriate heat, dial that number. Tell us what you need. Tell us where you're at. And again, the sheriff offered up his folks, if we need to move people, we've got the volunteer rescue squad, the volunteer fire departments have always been great to support us. We'll get folks where they need to be, we'll keep them warm, and we'll keep them there till we need to send them home. And if that's 2 days, we'll keep them there 2 days. We hope we don't have to do that again, but please reach out. I heard you say this about folks' animals. You know, remember, those animals out there tonight, that's critical. Remember your neighbors. And that's the one thing that drew me to this county in 1999. These folks look after each other. And my hat's off to our citizens because they continue to do that. They reach out to their neighbors, they house their neighbors. In fire situations, out of the 4 counties, we're the least likely to call Red Cross because the neighbor steps up and says, you can stay with me tonight. So then we get them with the Red Cross the next day. We rarely have to call Red Cross out in the middle of the night, which I think is just a testament to the citizens of Alexander County and the kind of folks they are. They reach out, they look after each other, they look after their family. And I would ask you tonight, all the folks on the radio, if there's anyone in your neighborhood that you're concerned about, please, before it gets any later, any colder, check on them. And if you have any concerns, dial that number and we'll figure out what we need to do and we'll make it happen.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
Can you advise people on what type of heat not to heat their houses with?
Well, you don't want to heat your house with anything that produces carbon monoxide. Please do not crank space heaters that are using diesel fuel or kerosene unless you have a carbon monoxide detector in your house, and test your carbon monoxide detector, make sure it's working, and realize that every space heater has got a manufacturer's recommendation of clearance. And my minimum clearance, without looking at the tag, is 36 inches. Folks are so bad, they get cold and they bring those little space heaters out and they plug them up and they set them right up next to a piece of furniture, and that's the worst thing you can do. Give it plenty of clearance around it. We want you to keep you warm, we want to heat your house, but the last thing we want to do is damage anything by setting anything on fire. So, you know, if you're using anything that produces carbon monoxide, be sure you have a working carbon monoxide detector. All those electrical space heaters, be sure you give them plenty of clearance.
But one of the things you failed to mention, but just struck my mind that I heard an occasion, I can't remember whether it was this county or another county in the last cold weather that was in this area, that someone actually lit a charcoal grill in their home.
Yeah, no, that's not a recommendation that you'll ever get from our office. That's one of those things that produces carbon monoxide. Don't do that. Dial that 291
That's why I
number,
wanted
tell
you
them
to
need help.
mention that, because
Absolutely. Yeah, that's not something we would endorse at all. The carbon monoxide is critical. Without those detectors, be extremely careful. Give those heaters some space, and you know, that'd be like building a fire in your fireplace without opening the flue. And you've got to have that flue open. Makes a big difference.
That's true.
thank you for all. the
Thank you,
information.
Russell. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Appreciate
y'all
your
being
time.
here. Congratulations to Vashti and Sugarloaf Fire Department. All right, next item on the agenda is number 5, Recreation and Rocky Face updates. Lisa Stamey, Rocky Face Director, and John Preston, Recreation Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll say a few things about the Recreation Department and give a few updates. We have 3 staff members, myself, and then we have 2 other ones. Jody Marshall, he is our grounds coordinator. I think Jody's starting his 7th year with us this year. Jody does a good job. He works on the parks and grounds, and also helps out in the office when needed. We have an administrative assistant. Her name is Jody Brookshire. She's now been with us for 6 months full-time, and Jody's learning and doing a good job. We had a good year in the year 2013. Our participation was very great, and it was up. Last spring, we had baseball, softball, and soccer, and that was the first year that we offered Cal Ripken and Babe Ruth. We used to do the Tar Heel League, which was a good league and is still a good league, but chose to try the Cal Ripken and Babe Ruth. A lot of our coaches and parents seem to really enjoy that. We had one 7-8 girls softball team who won the district tournament as well as a state tournament, and they advanced to the Southeast Regionals in Glen Allen, Virginia. We had several other teams who qualified for the state tournaments. We played our games in the spring at Bethlehem Park, Dusty Ridge Park, Ellendale Park, Salem Park, Town Park, J.C. Park, and East Park. Our total participants was right around 900 kids in the spring season. Our fall season, we offer football, cheerleading, soccer, and volleyball. This was the first year that we had offered girls volleyball, and it was a very successful thing. We had 11 teams ranging from 3rd grade all the way to 8th grade, and we had a lot of other kids and parents who called interested in playing this upcoming year, so it was a very, very good thing. We played the volleyball games at East and West Middle School. Our total participant for all the fall sports of football, cheerleading, and all of it was right at 800 kids. And then now we're currently in our winter season in basketball, in which we have the most teams that I can ever recall having since I worked here, which is 92 teams, and that ranges from ages 5 to 15, which includes right at 800 kids. We play our games at Old Wittenberg School and New Wittenberg, Bethlehem School, excuse me, Ellendale School, Sugarloaf, Taylorsville, Hidnight, Stony Point, and East and West Middle Schools. We will be hosting, at the end of February, we'll be hosting the Western Youth Regional Basketball Tournament, which is an all-star event, and we'll find out more details. We have a meeting Thursday, so we'll find out more details of what age division we will have. We also help with several fundraisers throughout the course of the year. We do a Jesse Riddle preseason basketball tournament, which goes towards the Jesse Riddle scholarship. We also help out with a Tiffany Krause scholarship. We do a rag ball and a basketball tournament to help out with that. And also the Iris Cox scholarship, which is in July. We have a rag ball tournament at East Park that helps out with that. We did make a few upgrades to the parks this past year. We lighted the Gwaltney Field at Dusty Ridge Park, and also worked on some fencing out at Dusty Ridge Park. And we're in the plans right now to put in more trails out at Dusty Ridge for walking, running, and bike riding. There's also, it's in the plans to have a disc golf course go out there at Dusty Ridge. We've also been working with the staff at Rocky Face. We began in this past fall. Our staff helped us with some bathroom cleanings and things on the weekends, and that really worked out, and they did a great job doing that. And we're getting ready in the future to work on a master plan for our parks, a 5- and 10-year plan. So that's the update I have. If there's any questions or comments.
No, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
John, one question on the Western Youth Regional Basketball Tournament. Where are those games going to be held at?
That'll be played at New Wittenberg School.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
That's a-
Thank you, John.
I might
sorry.
say that's the state-of-the-art gym down there. I like it when you play there. If there's one department I know what's doing and what they're doing and how it's working, it's recreation. And you do a good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for letting me speak to you tonight. I will be giving you an update on Rocky Face Park and let you know what we've been doing the past year and a half and some future projects that we have going on this year. First of all, most parks have a mission statement, and I felt like Rocky Face needed one as well, so I came up with this one, and your suggestions are welcome. Rocky Face Park exists to provide outdoor recreation, educational opportunities, and quality leisure opportunities while preserving the mountain's natural heritage, natural beauty, and natural resources to enhance our community for this and future generations. Most of you know that have visited the park know that we have a sign-in sheet that visitors are supposed to sign in when they first arrive at the park. This has their name, where they're from, vehicle description, and the activity that they're going to do while they're at the park. At the end of the day, we tally up these numbers and we put them into a Excel worksheet, and it gives us how many visitors we have at the park. And these are numbers from May 2012 to December 2013. We have had 24,330 visits or visitors so far at the park. 76% of those have been from Alexander County residents, and 24% of those have been from residents out of the county. And these are conservative estimates just based off of the sign-in sheets. Not everybody signs in. Next slide, please. I also broke it down into monthly attendance. When we first opened, we had quite a few visitors. We had a spike in May of this past year because of Rocky Fest. And then December is peaked down pretty low. I think that's because of Christmas. So most of these numbers are largely based on events and weather patterns. Activities, we also broke these down. The people that visited the park that signed in, 48% of those visitors hiked the trails, 25% walked the walking track, 13% picnicked, 4% rock climbed, 4% participated in some type of wildlife observation, 1% geocached, if you're familiar with that, and 5% participated in an educational activity. Next slide, please.
Lisa, can I ask you a question right there? Wildlife observation. I've read in one publication that Rocky Face Park and the mountain itself has been designated as a hawk viewing site. Can you talk about that for a minute?
Yes, it usually starts every year in September. There are various spots throughout the world that actually participate in this program. September and October are peak months for hawk migration, and volunteers from all over the world go to these different spots and actually count how many hawks they see flying over. And that data is turned into a federal database, and they are able to keep up with these hawks migration movements. And most of these hawks are migrating to Mexico and South America. So that is one of the wildlife observations that is included in that percentage.
Wasn't that information about Rocky Face in a national publication, which other people would find out about? Seems as I recall that I read it.
It was an Audubon Society publication.
Yes.
Yes, sir. This past year, we do educational programs for public schools. East Alexander Middle School, they've came out twice to do field days. West Alexander Middle School, they've been out twice for their 8th grade field trip. Some after-school programs. We also do educational programs for Scouts, 4-H, homeschool, and summer camps as well. And most of the programs that we do for these are general wildlife programs, history programs, or geology programs. We also do educational programs for the general public as well. These would consist of sunset hikes, guided nature hikes, history programs, and astronomy programs. The Statesville Amateur Astronomy Club comes out several times a year, and they set up their big telescopes, and they let the public view stars, planets. Very knowledgeable, and it's a very interesting program. Some past events that we've had, September 22nd, 2012 was the official grand opening. The Midnight Race was that same day. The Y Ride, we've held 2 years in a row and in August. And Rocky Fest was this past May and will be held again this coming up May. We've become pretty popular for emergency training. CVCC, their paramedic class, and the Alexander Rescue Squad, they have came out and did some rappelling training. Alexander County Emergency Management, the North Carolina Department of Corrections, and the Alexander Sheriff's Department recently did a training exercise with a so-called prisoner escapee. North Carolina Heart, they have been out several different times doing some helicopter training, and that would involve the State Highway Patrol, the National Guard, and Emergency Management as well. As
Ms. Stemmy, I had an opportunity, Russell Green invited me to go out and observe the, I guess you would call it mountain rescue with the helicopters out there, and that'd be the picture on the left. I guess it'd be up there on the left. Also, a nighttime rescue training session they have. That's one of the most interesting things I've seen in that county. There's not only was it interesting to view, but the comments that I received from other departments that were there, from other counties participating, that they saw that Rocky Face would be a great place for their departments to train also. And they intended to go back and talk up Rocky Face, as because of the location where it is, you can drive right to the face of the mountain. I think that was said in the video on UNC television, but that was a spectacular event, both the day and night rescue missions.
Yes, it was, and they will be returning this next coming year, so if any of you are interested, it is very interesting to watch that training event. As far as projects, some past volunteer projects at the park have included an Alexander County resident, Daniel Holken. He completed his Eagle Scout project and installed 5 park benches, which were desperately needed along some of the trails. He did a really nice job with those, built them and transported them up the mountain. Todd Payne, many of you know him. He is a regular hiker at Rocky Face. Next slide, please, Chad. He spearheaded this project. We needed some resting, sitting areas for some of the trails that are on top of the mountain, and so he took it upon himself and got Sop Lumber Company to donate the materials, and then Scott Payne Construction built the picnic tables, and they did 3 of them, and we've had a lot of grateful hikers for those. Next slide, please. Some other past projects that we've worked on was the addition of Prison Camp Trail, which was a 1 mile of new trail built along the western portion of the mountain, and that opened in February of 2013. Next slide. Some other current projects we've been working on. Many of you know that rock climbing's been going on at Rocky Face from the 70s and 80s, and the hardware that was in the side of the mountain is rusty, loose. So we have been in the process of replacing that hardware for a safer environment for the climbers. Volunteers that have been volunteering their time and even their own money have been Rock Dimensions Incorporated. They're a company out of Boone. Carolina Climbers Coalition, Johnny Campbell and Travis Mave, they have all been replacing the rock climbing hardware in the mountain. And also, Johnny Campbell has been making the rock climbing map stands. He's put in a lot of volunteer hours, and he's done a really nice job. They all have. We've definitely seen an increase in attendance for rock climbing since a lot of these new routes have been replaced. We have an upcoming meeting in February to discuss some more routes that we would like to add and some advertising brochures that we want to do when these are completed. Next slide, please. Chad, Richie, and I have been working on this for the past probably year and a half, and we just work on it when we have time. But we have been working on a documentary about the history of the park, dating back to Native Americans, to when the park was quarried for the granite, to when it was bought by a conservancy group, to it becoming a park. The Alexander County Historical Society has donated a lot of material, and they've been very helpful. We had some areas in the park that we thought had historical importance, and we had an archaeologist from the North Carolina Department of Cultural Resource visit in November, and she did confirm that those sites were of historical importance. And she also dated some of the arrow points and arrowheads that you see in that picture. Those were found at the park or in the close vicinity of the park. And the earliest one that she dated was found by one of the employees, and she dated it for 8,000 BC. Next slide, please. Some grant projects that we've been working on. Of course, you guys are familiar with the Partif grant. We'll be starting phase 2 this year. We also worked with the local soil and water and applied for a $2,500 no-match environmental education grant. We were approved for that, and we will be installing 2 environmental education displays, one at the wetland area and one on top of the mountain on Buzzard Roost Loop. We also worked with the Alexander County Partnership for Children and applied for a $7,500 no-match grant. We were not approved for that, but we will be applying this next cycle for that grant. Primitive backpack camping. We get asked all the time if we have allow camping at the park, and we are currently working with a Boy Scout who wants to do this site for his Eagle Scout project, Jacob Burke, and he has written his approval letter, and he's just waiting for approval from the board before we start. We hopefully at this site, it will be a group camping site with 3 to 4 tents and a large fire pit. He will be taking donations or doing fundraising for the fire pit. But this will be a carry-in, carry-out facility. Reservations will be required. There'll be contracts and liability waivers that each camper, their parent or guardian, will have to sign. I visited a couple of the NC state parks, Stone Mountain and Crowder's Mountain State Park, and this is what their primitive camping is. It's basically just a fire pit and picnic tables and tent pads. It is a carry-in, carry-out as well. They charge $13 a night, and basically the campers register when they arrive and go out, and they're pretty much on their own. Iredell County, I spoke with them as well. Michelle Hepler, the Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation for Iredell County. Chad, if you'll move on to the next slide. And they have a 45-acre outdoor recreation center. They actually have 3 Adirondack shelters and have a few more amenities, a water, a bathhouse, and hot showers. They charge $30 a night for up to 15 people. And there's been some questions about having an employee on duty at Rocky Face if we do allow camping. And Ms. Hepler said that they had been allowing camping for 15 years at their facility, and they've not had any major issues. Again, they have the liability waivers and contracts as well.
I think one of the things to point out too, they don't have an employee on duty at night.
No, they did not, yeah, they do not. They do not have an employee on duty.
What about Crowder's Mountain and Stone Mountain?
They do have a ranger on duty because they have ranger residences on the site,
I knew Stone Mountain did.
yeah. And I just wanted to brag a little bit, Chad, if you can move on. The employees at the park, they work really hard. I think a lot of people forget that we have 5 miles of trail that constantly have to be maintained. You know, the leaves blown, sprayed, weed-eated. Storms come, we have trees we have to remove. And I just want to brag on the employees a little bit. They do work really hard, do a good job, and don't ever complain about anything. Does anybody have any questions?
I think you could include yourself in that employee group too. I don't have any questions, but I'd like you to comment a little bit on any feedback you've gotten on the public television, North Carolina Public Television segment on Rocky Face Recreational Area.
Yes. Yes, I only had positive comments. We have seen our attendance increase dramatically since that show, especially with rock climbers. We'll have 30, 35 rock climbers in one day on the weekends, so.
I think what we're going to do is we're going to allow Chad back there to give you a little bit of UNC TV and what happened with Alexander County and UNC TV at this time, if you don't mind for just a second.
Yes.
This will take about 5 minutes, so sit back and enjoy. We do not have popcorn, but you can enjoy this presentation.
Rock climbing has become an extremely popular sport worldwide, and North Carolina is touted as having some of the best rock climbing in the South. One of the newer venues in our state is Rocky Face Recreational Area in Alexander County. And whether you use the park to climb, hike, picnic, or for education, you can always count on a fun time.
Rocky Face is what's called a nice mountain. Now, I don't mean it's nice as in it's not mean. It's nice, the kind of rock, G-N-E-I-S-S. It's nice. Do you know what kind of rock nice is? There's only 3 kinds, guess. Metamorphic. Metamorphic. This is at the end of the Brushy Mountain chain, and this is one of the oldest mountains in the world.
The land that is now home to Rocky Face Park was first used as a rock quarry.
From the early 1920s until the mid-1940s, it was mined for the granite. The granite was used for the gravel roads in the local areas and for railroad beds.
The job of producing the gravel was given to a nearby prison.
The locals would come out on Saturday. They put on their best clothes, and there'd be concession trailers out here, and they would have a family picnic, and they would watch the prisoners break rocks. That was entertainment. So be glad you've got cable.
In 2003, Rocky Face Mountain was placed on the North Carolina Registry of Natural Heritage Areas, and by 2012, it was open to the public as a recreational area. Today, it consists of nearly 320 acres, with around 5 miles of walking trails, a picnic shelter, restrooms, and an excellent site for rock climbing.
The accessibility is incredible. You know, there's no approach in your rock climbing.
Because you can park right at the rock. Most other places you'll have to walk, you know, half mile or so to get into the climbing areas. You don't have to do that here.
Climbers also prefer Rocky Face for the range of difficulty it offers.
We have anything from really easy routes up to hard stuff. We have a lot of what we call moderates. They're a little bit easier that most people can climb. And we've tried to do that, try to cater to everybody.
And they're allowing us to establish climbs and create a climbing area. So that's big for rock climbing.
Since the county has owned it, we have been, through volunteers, rebolting the anchors in the mountain. The rock climbers have been really pleased. They've been a lot of help. They've been volunteering a lot of their time.
Especially since they're allowing everything here to be sport climbs, which are, there's actually permanent bolts drilled into the rock. So we're trying to make these climbs as safe as possible by removing rock and putting in modern stainless steel to make the routes as safe as possible.
The climbing tends to be steep, face climbs with a few holds in between. It's pretty hard. It's hard climbing.
If hiking is more your speed, Rocky Face has several trails that offer amazing benefits for those willing to dedicate the time.
Actually, just 5 months, and I've lost 40 pounds in 5 months on this mountain.
Probably has the best marked trails that I've ever seen. And if you take your map, every 1/10 of a mile or so, there's a marker on a tree. You can look right down on your map, and you know exactly where you're at. And I've not seen that anywhere else.
It's called geocaching, a technological form of treasure hunting using a GPS.
You go to geocaching.com, download your coordinates, come to the park, use your GPS device or your iPhone, and look for the hidden treasures in the park.
However, visitors to Rocky Face believe the greatest treasure of all is the simple fact of enjoying a beautiful view, fresh air, and the chance to experience a magnificent park just about any way they choose.
People need to get out of the house. That's become a problem these days. Kids want to stay at home. Well, we have something like this. Try to get them out. That's what I'm doing with my students. I'm trying to expose them to it. See that there are other things to do other than play video games.
Plug and just be out here in nature and enjoy hiking, enjoy climbing, just being outside is a great thing.
The slogan for Alexander County is the gem of North Carolina. This is the gem of Alexander County. It's awesome.
Rocky Face Mountain Recreational Area is located at 3451 Rocky Face Church Road in Hiddenite. Opens at 8 a.m. daily, but closing hours vary seasonally. So for specific times, check out their website at rockyfacepark.com or give them a call. At 828-632-1093.
Thank you, Chad. Alicia, anything you'd like to add? Any questions from any commissioners?
I don't have any questions, but I have some comments. After this aired on UNC TV, I received calls from friends who I've known for many years. Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina, Bolivia, North Carolina, if you've ever heard of Bolivia, North Carolina. It's the county seat of New Brunswick County. Lake Junaluska, Charlotte, Lumberton, Waynesville, just about all over from the mountains to the sea, that they were aware because of the friendship with me of Rocky Face, but they had never been there. And all of them have families, and of course, what they say and what they do may be different, but all of them had plans sometime in the near future to visit there. So because this was viewed statewide and in a lot of places into South Carolina and Virginia and Tennessee, because of the power of UNC TV, I just think it was great. Put advertising in quotation marks for Rocky Face, but I do have one question. You don't need to stand up. Is it true that you can see the top of the Bank of America building from Rocky Face if the weather is just right?
You can see the Charlotte skyline.
Yeah, because it reminds me of a picture, if you've ever seen any pictures that have been taken from the top of Grandfather Mountain, you can see very distinctly the top of the Bank of America building. I've heard that, and I just wanted to know that that was true.
I don't know if you can see the top of it, but you can see the skyline and Marshall Steam Station as well.
That's great.
You can see the skyline and what?
Marshall Steam.
Oh, okay.
Any other comments?
Well, I'd just like to say one thing. That place has come a long way from being a trash dump. If any of you remember 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what it looked like out there. And
it's just unbelievable what that place has turned into. It looks great. I did want to say that, you know, I'm really happy that the schools are, you know, holding educational events out there. I think that's going to be a very important part of Rocky Face Park. And, you know, the fact that the county didn't put any money into acquiring that park was unbelievable. We got a state grant, and actually the land was donated to the county. So, and through the state grant, we were able to do a lot of the work out there, such as the building and parking lot and all the other things. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank you, folks, for the great report. We appreciate what you're doing, your contribution to Alexander County, and what you're doing with the recreation and what you're doing with Rocky Face. And I like the idea that you're working together. It's a combination of employees working together to make things better. Thank you very much. Item number 6 on the agenda, capital project budget ordinance, Bethlehem Ellendale Water System Improvement Project. Project number WIF 1650, Rick French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the capital project budget ordinance for the Bethlehem Ellendale Water System Improvement Project that you approved earlier as far as the contract for the work. This sets up the revenues, which are from the North Carolina DENR, Diener Public Water Supply revolving loan, and as Chairman Yoder pointed out, this is being paid back with water money only, no tax money. In total, $3,210,018. Expenditures are water improvements, $2,896,925. Professional services, $190,000. Administration, $11,457. And transfer per reimbursement resolution, which are funds that the county will be reimbursed for previous engineering work and some other miscellaneous work on this project, $111,636 for the total of $3,210,018. And this, once it's approved, this project will be in motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. French. I'd entertain a motion at this time to approve the ordinance number P-2.
So moved.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there any other discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed, none. Unanimous, 4-0. Very good. It's a good project. It's one that we've been needing to happen for at least 5 or 6 years. Sales tax report for 2014, Mr. Rick French, County Manager.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. In your packets, you have the sales tax information for the first 4 months of the fiscal year, totaling $1,162,001.83, or it's 32% of the budgeted number, which is $3,611,000. Again, we're behind what we were last year. In 2013, through 4 months, we were at $1,211,019.31. So we're running about $49,017 behind, which is a little over 4%. That does not include the hold harmless, which is $78,113. But we're hoping it'll pick up as we get into the Christmas months with the report. But I'll be glad to try to answer any questions about the report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. French. Does anyone have any questions? That should pick up because of the Christmas holidays and everything, but we won't know that until March. Is that right? 2 months behind just about,
Yes,
isn't
sir.
it?
That's correct.
So it runs, I thought it ran about 2 months behind, so we'll know more about that in the 1st of March. Board appointments and reappointments, Mr. Rick French, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Local Emergency Planning Committee, reappoint William Hammer, 3 years, Leanne Wisnett, 3 years, Chris Bowman, Russell Green, Kathy Bunton, Cindy Holman. The Joint Nursing and Adult Care Community Advisory Committee, Donna, how do you say it, Jamie? Abucon for 3 years. Planning and Zoning Commission, reappoint Don Harrington for 2 years. Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, a number of people to reappoint for 2 years: Jennifer Hefner, Chris Bowman, Carrie Nitsu, Kitsa Hyatt, Melissa Ledbetter, Holly Young, Brandon Lowe, Guinness McCorder, Kevin Beal, Jennifer Nance, Matt Cooksey, Kim Cowart, and Jerry Ratchford, Jan Beringer, and Nikki Cahill.
I entertain a motion to, thank you, Mr. French, excuse me. I entertain a motion at this time to approve the appointments to the committees.
I make a motion to approve the appointments and reappointments to the various committees.
And I second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Item number 8, budget ordinance amendments number 19 through 24. Mr. French, County Manager.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. Budget amendment number 19 is increased EMS budget for non-cash grant for 3 mobile radios for use in EMS vehicles. Radios were purchased by the North Carolina Baptist Hospital and transferred to Alexander County EMS to increase the Health Department budget for additional healthy community funds and Project Lazarus funds, and to increase the Health Department budget for additional vaccinations needed for industrial clinic, and to increase the Christmas parade budget for expenses that were higher than estimated. Would like to point out that we collected $773.15 in revenue. That's $7,315 in revenue for that Christmas parade. Budget amendment number 20 is to reimburse the emergency telephone system for fiscal year 2013 expenditures that should have been paid from the general fund's 911 communications department. Budget amendment number 21 is to budget for the remaining funds needed to complete the current information technology projects. These projects were part of the 2007 strategic IT plan, and they help a number of programs such as 911 and others. These are the fiber optic network project connection to Lenny's Mountain, the storage area network project for data storage and virtual server performance improvement, inspection software project for inspections, environmental health, and emergency management. That's something we've been working on for some time. The employee self-service software project for human services and finance. Number 22 is to budget for allocation of the county engineer salary and benefits between the 2 water enterprise funds. We had it budgeted all in one, so we're budgeting it out of 2. Based on the LGC guidance, the cost should have been allocated between funds instead of making interfund transfers. Budget amendment number 23 is to increase animal control budget for the purchase of a van to transport animals to rescue groups. And number 24 is to adjust the budget estimate for the sales tax hold harmless funds to school system based on year-to-year receipts. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions about the budget amendments, Mr. Chairman.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. French?
What's a Lazarus fund?
That's a grant that the Health Department receives, Commissioner.
Okay.
The only thing that I'd even add in here is, we're talking about vaccines, and I would urge the citizens of Alexander County to make sure they get their flu shot. It seems that the flu this year seems to be attacking more and more people, and you can get that shot at the Health Department. I'd entertain a motion to approve the budget amendments.
I make a motion to approve budget amendments 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23, and 24.
Second?
Motion's made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Other business, County Manager's report, Mr. Rick French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several things that I don't have in my report to bring you up to date on. One, Sheriff Bowman provided some information, and I'll send you this tomorrow. The average daily inmate population by month. When we started in April, we had 70 inmates for that month, had an average of 70, May 73, June 64.5, July 76, August 76.5, September 80.5, October 94.5, November 101, and December 111. The first Caldwell County inmates arrived in Alexander County Detention Center on October 16, 2013. Alexander County began billing Caldwell County $55 per inmate per day. During the month of October, Caldwell County was billed $6,655 for 121 bed days. During the month of November, Caldwell County was billed at a rate of $55 per inmate per day until a contract agreement commenced on November 27, 2013. Under contract details, Caldwell County began paying Alexander County for 35 beds each day at a rate of $45 per inmate per day. They pay 35 for 35 inmates. If they have 5 or if they have 35, they pay for 35. So that's why the rate dropped. Total number revenue generated for the month of November was $27,530. And for the month of December, Caldwell County was billed for 35 beds each of the 31 days at the contract rate of $45 per day. For 31 days, that totals $48,825. And I'll have each one of you a copy of this tomorrow. Also, concerning something that was mentioned earlier, just want to start giving you this report from the animal shelter. Total adoptions since December 16th totaled, we have adopted 7 animals, 4 dogs, 3 cats. We have sent animals sent out to rescue 34. They were all dogs. Animals that were euthanized, there were 18, 16 cats and 2 dogs. In intake, we had 43 for that time period, and that's from December 16th to today, and that's 7 cats and 36 dogs. Would also like to point out that the Western Piedmont Council of Government annual meeting is January 28th at 6:30 p.m. That's something that I think most of us attend. Also, the Alexander County Veterans Committee has recommended a 20-foot buffer, basically be around all the monuments at the courthouse, and we're working on a policy to bring back to the commissioners. It needs to be something simple that sets up how you reserve the courthouse, and we'll have that information for you at our next meeting. Also want to point out the 2014-2015 budget process begins this Thursday, January 9th. We're having a meeting with all the county department heads, and we're working on that, trying to get ahead of the game a little bit there. We also have talked to the COG staff regarding a proposal for minimum housing and some other development regulations. We've also asked the COG to look at EMS calls in relation to future planning of a new base, and so that's also underway. And I'll be glad, Mr. Chairman, to answer any questions about any of that information.
Does any commissioner have any questions at this time? Since it's other business there, I'd like to bring up one thing, if you all don't mind. I received an email today from Micah Henry from the Total Times. Micah, I want to tell you thank you now. I appreciate it because I'm sure that this information has not become available to the general public as of this time. I'm sure there's going to be an article in the Total Times this week, but I just wanted to bring our citizens aware of what is going on. The North Carolina, I'm going to read this because this is the statement that was given by me, by Micah, for immediate release. It says here that the North Carolina Department of Insurance received a homeowner's insurance rate filing for the North Carolina Rate Bureau in the late afternoon of Friday, January the 3rd. The North Carolina Rate Bureau, on behalf of all companies writing homeowners insurance in the state, has requested a statewide average rate increase of 25.3%, varying by territory, with a requested effective date of August the 1st, 2014. We just got great information on our fire departments with the insurance ratings that they have, but the homeowners, the insurance companies have asked for this rate increase. I'd just like to let everyone be aware of that and know what's going on, because the new homeowners insurance rates went into effect in July of 2013, and they're already asking for another rate increase. I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood what was happening, and this news is out there. You need to pay attention to what's going on, and watch for the information as it goes down the channels to take care of this rate increase. And if you'll read more, Michael will have more in the Titusville Times, I'm sure, Wednesday, and I'm sure it'll be on the radio. But there again is one of those things that you need to pay attention to, that after we've got this insurance rating, it's also going to possibly cost our citizens in this county more money because of the rate increase from insurance companies. So these are some of the things that happen, and I just want to let the citizens be aware of that, just so that they know and have this vital information.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add one thing to that, if you don't mind. There is a public comment period on that
Right.
With the North Carolina Department of Insurance. So you can contact your insurance companies, and you can contact the North Carolina Department of Insurance and comment on that, whether you'd like to have that rate increase or not. And I'm sure most people do not. So 25% increase in your homeowner's insurance if it goes through. So.
I'd just like to add a comment to that, what Commissioner Mayberry said. Having worked for a public utility for many years, just because they ask for the rate increase doesn't mean the rate increase is going to be approved. And what Commissioner Mayberry said, it's imperative that the citizens of this county and the state contact the North Carolina Insurance Division and Commission to protest the rate increase. They always do this, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. But certainly if they don't hear from the public, it could happen. And 25% is a lot of money to the average homeowner. So I would encourage everybody to protest the rate increase. And that would be inclusive of contacting your state senator and your state representative too, and let them know how you feel.
All right, any other discussion? The consent agenda. I'm here to entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's made second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have to have a short closed session. Under North Carolina General Statutes 143-318.11, paragraph A, section 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, to prevent disclosure of confidential information, degrees, prizes, or awards, economic development, contractual, and personnel. We will reconvene for the primary purpose of adjournment only. I make that in the form of a motion at this time.
Second.
The motion has been made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.